let's go through the neuroplasticity. Let's talk about it. What is it? How does it work? And why do you believe it's the key to healing all the problems we have, as I understand, mentally, physically, and emotionally?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you remember as a child there was this TV series where's the body, you know, there's these little guys in the body and so on. So everybody's learned that it's the brain that conducts everything. So I think that it's funny that in modern medicine, like for example allergies or autoimmune diseases, why don't you approach them from there? Like the brain conducts everything, isn't it right? So yeah, that's one thing that I've been wondering. But neuroplasticity is the brain's way of doing things. It changes all the time. So every experience that we have changes our brain, and this phenomenon is present from the womb until we die.
So it's a constant change all the time.
And it changes all the time, and it follows certain rules. And usually these changes happen because we just go on and live our lives. But then if we want, we can self-direct this phenomenon, or we can use this phenomenon to create or to forget some of the connections. So, okay, this is, I like this example from the book where I write the word banana. And now you can hear the word banana. And if I just say banana, what happens?
I can even smell and taste the texture.
Yeah. So your brain starts like it immediately when you hear the sound. It's just airwaves, you know, vibrating. But when you hear this sound, banana, you have heard it many times before in your life. Also, your mother has, you know, put it in your mouth and said banana, and you have tasted it. So all of these neurons have been connected together. And one principle of neuroplasticity is that the neurons that fire together, that activate together, they will wire together. So, and that's what has happened. Or if you see, I don't know, a mug, you immediately know what it is. You know that you can pour there something. You know that what it feels. So it's because you have many times in your life you have experienced it, and your brain has built these connections. And now what happens is when these neurons have been activated and wired together, when you activate just one of them, the rest will activate. And this also happens with the diseases. For example, with the porridge or me with the gluten. If in this very emotional event, these neurons have already been wired. There's been the sadness, there's been the eating, there's been the crying, there's been the gluten. So later in life, when you're ready for receiving this information, you will start, and something activates one of these. You know, you start eating bread. So it will activate all of those neurons that were once wired together.
As a chain effect.
Yeah, yeah, it's a chain effect. But also I think that there's some kind of wisdom. This will, because in my case, for example, it didn't happen immediately. It came like after, in this life event where, in this kind of new life event. I had just become a mother, and my defense system was like a bit alert. I call the defense system the inner guardian. So the inner guardian was like alert, something new is happening. Oh no, I have to take care of this baby. And then love and family, and then bling, don't you remember? Life is threatful. And so I started having these symptoms. But about neuroplasticity, that's the first principle. But then there's other principles that these neural connections, they will become more strong according to the emotion. So the bigger the emotion, the stronger connections. Or then if there's repetition, if this event happens every day you're in a hurry and you eat porridge, and there's this every day.
It also comes down to negative self-talk, negative
Of
thinking.
course. Yeah. And then, but then there's one that is helpful for us if we want to heal. So use it or lose it. So our brain has built these certain connections, but if you don't use a certain connection, you will lose it. So that's actually the hardest part in the healing, is forgetting that you have ever been ill, or forgetting that you even react to something. But I have some brain tricks that can help to do that. And also self-talk is a really big factor in this, because when we talk, we already activate those neurons. So if a person talks every day about the, challenge that he has or she has, then it's quite hard for the brain to let those connections go. So one of the principles in my book is, if you want to heal, everybody doesn't want to heal, but if you want to heal, you should forget all the words. Like, stop using those words that you have been using about your symptoms, about your sickness, or about what causes them. For example, for me, it was chemicals and mold and what else? Gluten. I had to stop talking or thinking about those, because I had to leave my brain in peace and to forget those.
Which can be
concepts.
very hard.
That's hard. Yeah. Like, for the brain, it's really easy to create new connections, because that's what the brain is like built to do, connections.
But we are the ones who are holding it back to create new ones, because we're holding on to the old ones.
Yeah.
And making them stronger all the time with the same repetitive thoughts.
Yeah. So I think that's the problem we humans have. So, for example, for animals, it's much easier to create new connections and forget the old ones. But we have, memories. We love sticking back to the memories, and then we love being worried about the future, and then we're all the time like activating those neurons that we actually would love to forget.
I love that you mentioned the side of us as humans having we don't want to change all the time. Like, there's the fear of changing. I remember a few years back when we imported detoxification kits or bundles, products. They were based on Chinese medicine and plants from Taiwan to sell here in Estonia, and also in Finland in late years. Then we had a couple of clients who hadn't tried our product, and when we asked about the fears, why are they not trying them? Because we have all the scientific data and also the other customers' experiences, over many thousand customers who have said that this works and helps on these occasions, or might help in these occasions. Then there were some people who actually said to us that they are afraid to get better. They are afraid to heal. They are afraid to get rid of this, or they are afraid to do that cleanse because they might understand that they are stupid because they didn't do it earlier, and so on. So people have so many different fears, and some of them seem just absurd, that you have a fear of your life getting better, but that's on a subconscious level.
Yeah, but they're quite brave, at least, to see that.
Yes.
Because most of people don't see it. So they're already like on the better side, I would say. But yeah, it's like our inner guardian. If since the childhood it's been, like your life has been stressful, your parents have been, always in a stress, or they've been arguing, or could be different reasons why your life has been stressful, then that becomes the safe space for your inner guardian. And then, of course, if you start healing, that's something really new. And also, it's like part of your identity has to die. Like for my friend, it was like complete catastrophe to lose her sensitive identity.
That can be scary as well.
Yeah. Hey, this is so interesting. There's been a study about people who have, what's it called? This, not schizophrenia, but this, multiple personalities.
Disorder.
Yeah, multiple personality disorder. So there could be a person who then has several personalities, and these personalities one can have like allergy to oranges, one can have poor eyesight, and the third can have a rash. And the fourth one can be completely healthy. And then this person, when he or she changes the identity, these symptoms will come, and then she will need glasses or she will need something to her skin. So it's a wonderful like example of how our identity also is tied to the disease or symptoms. So of course it's scary to change your identity. But in my method, actually the method starts from starting to understand and feeling how you're like, what does it feel to have an identity?
Who you are.
Yeah. And I think that's the best way to start healing, because you have to be prepared to that and imagine yourself first as a healthy person. How would it feel? How would it be? So it doesn't feel that scary when you go towards it.
You mentioned the multiple personality disorder. There's also a term alter ego.
Yeah.
The people are subconsciously or consciously or deliberately created themselves an alternate version of themselves, and they can tap into it as they want to. That has also been in many different sources that have, I don't know, maybe some books, podcasts, or some coaches or public speakers who have actually told that this is a tool to elevate your life. For example, if you are somewhere where you don't want to be, or you're stuck in your life, or you want to get better in a certain field, or I don't know, as a career or a businessman or as a partner, doesn't matter, then you basically need to, when you, if it just fascinates me that if you want to be a fit person, you create a sense or visualization or picture of who is your healthier and fit person, and then all you have to do is to start acting the way he or she acts if you are him or her, but already today. So if I think about my, I don't know, best version of myself in a fitness or health-wise perspective, then obviously this guy does many training sessions per week. He eats clean, he doesn't drink energy drinks and so on. So from today on, I should start acting as if I am already that. And that has been, for me, interesting thing or exercise to play with. And I know a lot of people, I personally don't use it every day, but I know a lot of people who have alter ego characters. And if I'm not mistaken, then also our singer, rapper, Tommy Cash, he has mentioned in one of his previous interviews that he has created Tommy Cash as an alter ego that he taps into. Maybe even Eminem has one. He's Marshall Mathers, Eminem, and there's a Stan figure. So a lot of people use it. Have you used that as a tool to actually create deliberately another version of Maria, or have you recommended to someone that, or how do you see it in a neuroplasticity world?
Yeah, what I recommend is to go to the future and imagine exactly the best version of you. Yeah, and what is really useful for the brain is to exaggerate. So if you imagine something like, I'm like this normally healthy, that won't like help the brain, because the brain needs something, that pops out from the normal. So if you want to heal, I really recommend to imagine yourself like super healthy. Yeah, like incredibly healthy. Of course, you know that like in normal life, we always have like good days, we have bad days. It's normal. But when we start like doing the exercises, I exaggerate a little bit. That's really useful for the brain. And yeah, I haven't thought about this alter ego thing a lot, but I think that it could be like even good, so that you can protect like the true self. Of course, I don't know. like somehow sometimes in real life you of course you need to like you want to know the real person, not the alter ego, but it might be a good tool. Also, I know that there's people who, like for example, practice my method and are really deep into this, but they're like medical professionals. So I guess that when they go to the work, they have to like play to be normal doctors, even though they they use these kind of tools. But sometimes it's good to have this when you go to work. You can like play with the role, but then you know that it's not me. And it's the same thing with your story. You know that you have this certain life story, but in my book and in my method, I recommend to play with that. You can change it because our brain doesn't know what's real, what's not. So you can change your story.
In the book, you talk about resistance.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Have you read Eckhart Tolle?
Yes. But give us an example. What does it mean? How does it affect us? How does it happen? And why we should pay attention to?
Yeah, well, Eckhart Tolle, he's one great writer and thinker. But he wrote something like, resistance is the root of all suffering. And I read that when I was for the first time I dived into neuroplasticity, and I was thinking of this, and I already had understood the concept of this inner guardian, the defense mechanism that tries to protect us from everything. And actually resistance is what the inner guardian does. So whenever your inner guardian gets alerted and spots something dangerous in the reality, then it will cause so that your body and mind will start resisting something.
Like even resisting a change.
Of course, it can resist anything. And it's for somebody it could be like they resist resting or relaxing, and somebody would like resist action. So we all react differently. Our inner guardian we could be all in the same situation, but for one person the result would be that they become like they lose all the energy, and the other one would become like overactivated. So it's interesting to see how everyone is different, and their inner guardians spot different kind of things, and they protect in different ways. But resistance is actually like gratitude is like yes, and the resistance is your body saying no. And the resistance can be in your mind or in your body. And it can also be, for example, if you're in an accident, I would say an accident, and you hurt your hand or your elbow, and then it heals, but the resistance might stay. So even though it heals, somehow your inner guardian, your body energy would like resist your arm and shoulder, and that would cause that the cells wouldn't work properly. It would cause that the muscles are overactivated, or there's lack of tonus, or there's too much something or too little something. And in the long run, if there's resistance for a long time, that would affect the microbial functioning, and then that could like create disease itself. So yeah, and of course you could resist, for example, if you have had a bad experience in, I don't know, speaking in public, then later you would resist
going to have that experience again.
Yeah.
But aren't they saying that in order to overcome the resistance, you need to actually go through the uncomfortable feeling Or can it be dangerous by doing it like forcing myself go through the same experience or similar experiences I had that actually created negative emotions and resistance?
Yeah, I think that the mindset and attitude then determine if it's good or not. So if you decide to go through, you can do it like in a way that you're punishing yourself, which wouldn't be good, or you can do it like with compassion, and then it would be good with a positive mindset. There's an interesting study about rats where they, some rats, they were running in this running wheel, and of course that was good for them. They noticed like, wow, exercise is good. But then they had this other group of rats, and they were forced to do the same running, and it was bad for them. So if you do something because you want, you love it, it will be good for you. But if you do it like punishing or forcing yourself, then it's not good.
That's interesting. Let's talk about stress.
Yeah.
How does stress affect the brain and the body, and how we can become addictive to chronic stress?
Yeah. Hey, actually, one thing that I would like to talk first is how our parents' experiences can be also source of stress or rejection or stress. And there's a great rat study that I talk in my book. There were these grandfather rats. Do you remember the study?
No.
The grandfather rats, they were exposed to cherry smell, and they were given electric shocks at the same time. So at the same time, they were given this cherry smell and then electric shock. And that caused that their stress levels went up. Of course, naturally. You get this, it's not pleasant. And then they had babies, and the babies had babies. So the grandchild rats, when they were just given the cherry smell, you know what happened?
Stress went up.
Yeah. So it's really interesting, and it's because like their inner guardians and their brains, they wired in a way that they connected these two things, the cherry smell and the electric shock, or actually the unpleasant feeling of the electric shock. And then they had babies, though they passed this information.
Generational.
Yeah. So at the same way, if you react to something, so it could be that the root cause is actually in your parents' or grandparents' lives. I had this one friend, she had, for example, she couldn't see the color green and red. And what I think, and that's something it's said that it passes genetically, that somewhere in her past, her grandfather or something has been in an accident where he has seen lots of blood and of course this horror and the color red, and they have connected, and the inner guardian has actually thought that it's the color red that has caused this terrible feeling. So our defense system thinks that it's very, very wise to protect this future generation from the color red. So they will never have to experience this kind of horror in their lives. So I think that, all our challenges, they are because of some event in the past. It's sometimes so that it's not in our lives.
So, but how do you differ then? Like if it's my experience, because sometimes I don't know if I have that experience. Probably I do, but I've read a lot of people's experiences from books who have written about different topics, and they have, like, for example, one of my friends who has been on the podcast as well, she talks about in her book that she didn't remember until she was 33 or 4 when she did something with not neuroplasticity but biodecoding or something like that. There's a session they do somewhere in States and maybe in Europe now. But then within the session she started to remember that she was raped when she was younger. She didn't even know that or remember that.
Yeah.
The body and the brain had shut down that or shut out the memory because due to the sincere bad experiences and bad emotions or negative emotions that come with that. But my question is that how do you differ if it's your experience, even though you might not remember them at all, or it's your parents' or grandparents' experience? And if you now know the experience, if it's yours or your generational one, do you deal with them the same way with your method, or the approach is different?
Yeah, you can try. Like you can do lots of exercises, and that's the best way to do it because repetition is so important for our brains. But for example, if you have, I don't know, a thyroid problem or a skin rash, so I recommend you to do, of course, redo all the memories, bad memories that you have yourself, or you can imagine beautiful memories where your skin is being touched and you've been holded. But of course, you can also do these kind of exercises where you travel in the past and go to the past time and imagine that you are, for example, your mother or your grandfather. And yeah, it's strange, but physics prove that actually all the time is happening now, and there shouldn't be any reason why we couldn't travel in time. Yeah, I did this once with my grandfather's story. My grandfather was he died very young. I think he was 20, under 30 when he died, and he died in a motorcycle accident. And my father has always had these problems with sleeping, and also he had pollen allergy, and yeah. And then I decided to do this exercise where I imagined that I am the grandfather. And I imagined the last time he was driving the motorcycle, and then experienced what he felt when he knew that he was going to die. And there was a lot of self-guilt and blame and self-hate and yeah. And I just let all those feelings flow. And at the same time, I was partly me, partly him. I was saying that, everything is well. I love you. We are safe. I know that you love me. And it was this huge relief. I felt lots of emotions getting relieved. I don't know if it was his or my father's or mine. I also think that, there's this physical law that if some particles have been once connected, so they will always be connected. So there's physically there's a little part of my grandfather in me through his genes. And so I think that through that lineage, I somehow touched him. And then the next day, my father called me, and he was like, oh, incredible, I slept so well. It was so strange. He was really, he's always oh, I didn't sleep. Well, that's okay. But he called me, and he was like, oh, I slept so well. And I think that it was the thing that I really released some of his emotions. And then what's even more strange, the next day I got an email from Spain from somebody I had never known, and she had the same surname that I did. I do, the Spanish name Corominas. And I was like, what? And it was my father's cousin who sent me an email saying that, hey, I would love to know you, I'm coming to Finland, I'm your relative, and so on. And of course, we have the same. It's a grandfather who's his uncle, actually. And I think that somehow, we are all connected. So we can travel in time and do these exercises that will affect, and they will actually heal our parents or grandparents. And they will somehow sense it.
That's interesting. But what about stress?
Yeah, stress.
Stress and chronic stress, and how to approach.
Well, chronic stress, it's I describe it as this cocktail of hormones.
Mm-hmm.
It's like somebody goes to, I don't know, a bar and takes this cocktail, and many people are addicted to stress hormone cocktails, and they just live daily cocktails, and they just live and they like crave for them, and wherever they unconsciously see the opportunity to get that cocktail, they will have it. I don't know, driving, or I don't know, podcast goes
goes wrong
or whatever. No, like things can happen, but the way you react to it is the key. So some people I really can sense in myself. Sometimes it will be like easy to have those cocktails. It's much more difficult to say that, hey, it's good. Even though everything is happening, I'm good. But yeah, the big issue is when you decide to start healing and you're addicted to that stress hormone cocktail. And also because our diseases and symptoms, they're like a way to get that cocktail. So when you start healing, you have to start like getting clean from that cocktail, and that's the challenging part, because your system will crave for it.
So, but what's the solution? How do you get rid of the craving you have for stress or whatever, anxiety or whatever you have in your life?
Yeah, like in everything, the first thing is to get conscious of it, and then
that I have it.
Yeah, and then try to be compassionate to yourself. And of course, many times our symptoms, or they might be like automatic reactions, or also our patterns, how we behave. They're quite automatic. So if you have like a trigger and the reaction coming in like, so it's quite hard to get in that that space in there. But with time and with being conscious of it, self-awareness, so you get like a little bit more time every occasion, and then you can start like making the time a bit longer between the trigger and the reaction, and then you can even start to decide if you need to react or not.
So it's basically having the capability to build up a skill to set yourself on a pause mode before you react. I've seen it in my own life with a couple of topics. One is still one thing I do occasionally, and I've got more better at it because I've grown more self-aware. But I remember years ago when I first time noticed myself from the side that I'm doing that, I noticed that I sometimes react to my kid in a very not in a word aggressive is not the right word, but I explode immediately, being very nervous and sometimes even raising my voice, even if it's not necessary. So I get a trigger, I get the reaction, and I immediately react. And then I saw myself from the side, and I recognized that that's my father. That's how I was talked to sometimes.
Yeah.
And these are not your words, Chris. This is not you. You are behaving like your father. And from that time now, it has gone better. And I have even reached a point where I feel triggered. And then that's the pause moment. Now I feel like, usually I would react.
Yeah.
What I want to do now. I don't want to react. How do I do it?
And you can choose.
I can choose now. But it's not, it's still work in progress.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I noticed. Yeah. But it takes a lot of self-awareness to see yourself in a way and stop yourself that, I'm still doing that.
Well, in my method now, if you have this experience, I would do so that I would go to the past and imagine being little Chris. And then you're playing something. Like imagine a situation where your father would like explode. And then imagine how, if he would have all the tools that you have now, how would he react? And do like this memory, like redo it, and imagine him, like I don't know, you break something, or a glass of milk just spills, and then you see your father reacting
differently.
Yeah, differently. For example, I had like this experience of, I had like lots of body shame. For me, yeah. And I think that it was because in Spain, it's very different kind of approach to nudity. And I got that from my father. And I had one memory where I was 8 years old, and I was playing to be a baby. And I was like crawling naked or something. And then my father was like, "Oh, you're a big girl. What are you doing?" And I remember I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed. And I think that was like kind of one core memory where that body shame started. And then I did the method, and I rewrote that memory. And I imagined myself playing, and then my father would go, "Oh, little baby, come here, daddy's baby." And then he would, I don't know, we would play, and then he would say, "Hey, go put your clothes on." And it really changed a lot.
Because it's a completely different experience.
Yeah,
You said that moments that are loaded with emotions are the best opportunities for neuroplastic change. And my question to you is that how can we deliberately create emotional triggers to change the situations we have or have been in? Like usually it happens by life itself, traumas or physical injuries or, I don't know, heartbreaks or whatever it is. But how can we use a method, if there is one, to deliberately create extra emotional situations for a certain event? Like, for example, this podcast, I know that we're going to do a podcast. I'm excited, you're excited. Now, how can we level up our excitement deliberately, consciously, and bring up so much emotional intensity that it will bring or create a very good core memory for us? Or we shouldn't manipulate in that way.
Yeah, I think like all the moments I think are possibilities to experience like incredible feelings. And I think that in society today, like we do have like joy and happiness, but many people forget maybe the divine and the sacredness. And that's one feeling that I really like to boost myself. So every day I decide that I want to feel sacred and divine, because we are like intellectual, emotional, but we are also spiritual beings. So that's one thing. And to that, what really helps is to feeling connected and to feel somehow like everything is one and we are all connected. So if for example right now, if I want to feel something that elevates me, it's like I feel connected to you, I feel connected to all the viewers, I feel connected to the beautiful nature, the sun, and that helps me. And of course, if we do the visualization exercises, then there are some emotions that I really recommend to feel is connection, because when we are connected and when we feel connected, our stress levels immediately go down and our immune system is like, whoa, everything's good. Joy, of course, we need joie de vivre. It's like the joy of life, because we are alive and our cells are like craving to have new experiences, and that's what joy is about, just like opportunities, fun, and then being loved, of course, and especially by ourselves. I think that's like the only love that we can ever miss is our own love. We are, and yeah, I also love that thing that just to the fact that we have these bodies and these cells that are working is a sign that we are loved by life itself. And then safety, that's one important feeling. We know that we are safe here. So those are the most important feelings I recommend to tap in your visualizations or in everyday life. And just like sometimes it might be hard to tap into a feeling. You can also use these visualization techniques to, if you like, know that, okay, there's a little bit of gratitude. I know here I can feel a little bit of gratitude. Then you can visualize, like with every breath, it gets bigger and deeper, or it spreads, or there's different kind of little tips that you can use to make the emotion stronger.